Hello, welcome to Capital Market, where we do a review of what played out in the markets that we track for this week, and also the top economic matters that shaped investor sentiment. But first off, let's kick off with what played out with global markets that we track. I'm starting with the European markets. Now we see shares moved higher in Europe on Friday, with the region's benchmark hitting fresh highs as investors, they digested a swath of interest rates decisions right there. We see the FTSE 100, that was 0.61% to the good. The DAX, 24,288 points, up 0.37%. And the CAC 40, that's in France, that was up by 1 basis point on Friday, 8,151 points. That was the color right there. A lot of rate decisions there from the BOE, from the ECB. Then we also got the big one from Asia. That's the Bank of Japan. That was this week. So a lot did shape investor sentiment there. Let's take a look at Asia markets now. We see Japan equities and bond deals. They jumped after the central bank raised its policy rate to a 3-decade high. The decision comes as inflation has stayed above its target levels for nearly 4 years. Now, the Bank of Japan raised benchmark rates by 25 basis points to 0.75%, their highest level since 1995, and in line with expectations of economists polled by Reuters. Japan's Nikkei 225, we see that rose 1.03%, 49,507 points there. Then the Shanghai Composite 0.36%, Hang Seng Index 25,690 points, up 0.75%. That was the play right there in Asia. Let's take it on to the U.S. markets now. We see the Dow Jones Industrial Average 0.38% up. So markets did close pretty well in the green this Friday. The tech-heavy NASDAQ, even though we've had all of the AI trade doubts there, 23,307 points, 1.31% up. S&P 500, 6,834 points, up 0.88%. And definitely we did see Bitcoin also try to make a case there for the 90,000 level also on Friday. So I guess it was all green for this Friday trade. Let's see if that dovetails into what plays out in the markets. That's next week for the Santa rally. I'm sure investors worldwide bracing for that. But let's bring it home now. We see the NASD Securities Exchange closed the week lower as the index fell by 1.50%. We see the market cap there, 2.12 trillion naira. The trading activity was mostly negative. We see volume there, that was in red, 23.88% down compared to the previous week. Value, 494.43 billion, 92% down from previous week. Now we see for the top trades, Pfizer, Campina, Wamco, Nigeria PLC, Central Securities Clearing System PLC, and Geofluids PLC. Those were the top trades there, getting attention from investors right there in that market. Now we see EPOA PLC top the gain shot, 21.43%, closing at 85 kobo. IGI 64 kobo, 20.75% up. And we see MRS or Nigeria PLC. Yeah, that's moved from the NGX to the unlisted market. Golden Capital PLC top the losers chart, 18.73% at 7.68 kobo. Let's look at the NGX now, the flip side. And that, meanwhile, that did pretty well this week, 1.76% up, reclaiming 152,000 points. And we see the equity cap, 96.93 trillion. That's this trading week before Christmas. Volume value deals all in the green compared to the previous week, showing investor appetite right there in the market. And for the sectors that we track, the biggest mover this week, consumer goods, 4.51%. Jump. Insurance following that, that's for financial services, with a 3.07% advance. Then we see banking, 2.75%. That's in third place. The lone loser, oil and gas counter, 0.17%. Well, the oil market didn't really have it good this week. There we see Brent and WTI down about 2% for the week. Maybe that's what's driving that. Then for the top trades, First Holdco PLC, Access Holdings PLC. We did get news for First Holdco PLC this week. We'll give you details on that later on the show. And yeah, talking about the details there, we see the top gainers. Alex, that's Aluminium Extrusion Industry PLC. That's been on a run, this week, 59.35% altogether. That's the gain for that one. Mikio Industries, that's the pharmaceuticals, 44.93% this week. Then we see First Holdco PLC, a big 42.93% for this week. To losers for the week now, Living Trust Mortgage Bank PLC dropped there 11.38%, closing at 3 naira 35 kobo. International Energy Insurance PLC 2 naira 27 kobo, 9.92% down. So those were the stocks that got the attention from investors there. From the biggest gainers for the week to the biggest losers. All right, talking about some interesting stories in the market. Definitely, we'd like to follow what's played out with the director trades right there on the NGX. And we got that big one. First Auto PLC disclosed a major share acquisition involving one of its biggest investors. That's a company linked to billionaire businessman Sir Femi Otedola. That's Calvados Global Services Limited purchased 14.8 billion naira worth of shares in the banking group. The transaction further consolidates Mr. Otedola's influence in one of Nigeria's largest lenders, lifting his combined stake to 17.56%, effectively strengthening his control position there. According to a filing on the Nigerian exchange, Calvados acquired about 370 million shares of First Holdco valued at 40 naira 6 per share, underscoring growing investor confidence in the group's outlook. Definitely, we like to track what most of the insider trades right there with most of these listed stocks. Definitely gives direction on what investors, should expect. So that's the big one there for this week. 14.8 billion bought there by the company linked to Mr. Femi Otedola. And also, this week, President Bola Tinubu, he presented the 2026 budget, to a combined sitting there from the Senate, the House of Reps, and we have it there, security and defense. We're looking at 5.41 trillion. That's the allocation there. Infrastructure, 3.56 trillion. Education, 3.52 trillion naira. Health, 2.48 trillion naira. That's it, right there. Let's listen to what the president had to say.
The 2026 federal budget is anchored on realism, prudence, and growth. The key aggregates are as follows. Expected total revenue is 34.33 trillion naira. Projected total expenditure is 58.18 trillion naira, including 15.52 trillion naira for debt servicing. Recurrent non-debt expenditure is 15.2 trillion naira. Capital expenditure will be 26.08 trillion. The budget deficit is expected to be 23.85 trillion naira, representing just 4.28% of our GDP. These numbers are not mere accounting lines. They are statements of national priorities. We will remain firmly committed to fiscal sustainability, debt transparency, and value for money spending. The year 2026 to 2088 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper set the parameters for this budget. Our projections are based on 1, a conservative crude oil benchmark of US $64.85 per barrel. 2, crude oil production of 1.8 million barrels per day. And 3, an average exchange rate of 1.4 naira to the US dollar for the 2026 fiscal year. Key sectorial provisions include defense, security. Defense and security will take 5.41 trillion naira. Infrastructure, we follow with 3.56 trillion naira. Education, we follow with 3.52 trillion naira. Health and social services will be 2.48 trillion naira.
And there you have it, official. That's the budget for 2026, the spending plan for this government. And joining me to unpack this, we have Mr. Mukhtar Mohammed, is the CEO of Finance with Mukhtar. It's great to have you on the show, sir.
Thank you, Ladi. My pleasure. Compliments of the season.
Compliments of the season, yes. And I guess this is a nice way to kick it off. At this point, security and defense, 5.41 trillion, infrastructure, 3.56 trillion. So we're talking trillions here for this big budget, for 2026. But before we get into this, Mr. Mukhtar, this is the government spending plan. I want to know your spending plan for 2026. What's your budget?
I think I shouldn't do budget like the government. That's the spending plan I have.
Okay.
Because
are we looking at 1 trillion?
No, I don't have those kind of money
Okay.
The government is just throwing around. Because again, if you look at the budget, like I said, I don't want to be like the government. I'm
Right.
expecting revenue of 34 trillion, and also my spending is 58 trillion. Does it really make sense?
Right. Definitely. We have a huge
Budget
deficit.
we're already planning
I
to
guess
borrow.
we're used to the deficits.
No, you see,
at this point.
Lardy, the deficits will still be more because, again, if you look at their profit, estimated profit, you know that it will be very difficult because they are trying to look at the tax bill to be able to augment a lot of this. And you and I know that there's still a challenge in that bill. And we don't even know whether it will kick off start on the first, whether all the components, because there's still ongoing discussion on some components in that tax bill, like the tax implementation committee told us and even said that some of those component that was implemented by the Presidential Tax Reform Committee is unimplementable. So it's going to be a very big challenge for them. Oil price, $64 per barrel.
Talking about the tax thing, now everybody's asking me about tin. Laddie, if I don't have tin, we have too much conflicting. I've said it on your program the last time I came, and I said clarity is what you need when you are doing taxes. As it stands now, there's still no clarity from the part of government because, again, today the Tax Reform Committee is saying, Presidential Tax Committee is saying without a tin you cannot operate an account. Then tomorrow again they say, oh no, you can operate an account, it's just that we automatically generate a tin for you. So there's a lot of issues going on with that tax bill that it's not good. There must be clarity. By now we should know if 1st of January we have clarity. Capital gain tax. Because I remember with NIN,
Yeah.
I think for mine, I think that was generated for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, by the banks.
You see, when you continue, we'll keep going on and on because, again, 1st of January is around the corner. They are still having stakeholders meeting as regards the capital gain tax. Should it be 30? Nigerian Exchange Group is asking for a reprise for the next 5 years. Okay, the others are saying, look, give us 2 years. The other one are saying, oh, how do you prorate it? And if I don't sell in January and throughout the year, am I going to be not taxed on next year because I'm not selling after seeing the price appreciate throughout January and I decide to sell in January 2027? Will I be taxed? So there's a lot of issues that are ongoing. But when you look at the budget, I think 1,400 exchange rate is quite conservative. At least we have gone from the previous one of 1,000 naira exchange rate of 2025, which we never did. Now, so we are getting at 1,400. I think that is conservative. That is still fine, even if we are going between 1,460, 1,000, maybe sometime even 1,500. I think that is conservative, and that's good. Oil price is not conservative at all
64.
because, $64 per barrel. Remember, from $75 per barrel, we didn't even achieve it, and now we are doing $64 per barrel. We don't seem to learn. Because what should happen, we should be looking at oil price between $56, $58. If possible, to be very in a safe side, I should be looking at $55 per barrel. Remember that 2 weeks ago when that blockage came from Donald Trump in terms of Venezuela, you saw that oil price came down as low as $54 per barrel. So you can keep doing same thing and you think you have a different result. Oil production at 1.88 million barrels per day. I think that's conservative compared to 2025, where we had 2.1 million barrels per day. So if you look at what we achieved in 2025 with condensers and others, we were able to get to 1.8. Even if OPEC keep telling us we only did 1.1, the highest we did was 1.5. So, and definitely that is achievable. So there are some achievable goals, but again, we will question. It was that is a no-brainer that security and defense should take the highest
right, and we're going to come to that, very soon. Seeing that, security and defense is getting a huge chunk, about 5.41 trillion naira. We'll just take a quick break now. Hold your thoughts there. So much to unpack with this incredible budget right here. We're back with Capital Market right after this. Welcome back. We're still unpacking the budget right here, and I still have with me Mr. Mukhtar Mohammed, CEO of Finance with Mukhtar. We're looking at the allocation at this time with security and defense getting a huge chunk at this point. Mr. Mukhtar, does this inspire confidence, for you? I know, in Europe, we saw how Rheinmetall, we saw how that rallied, with all of that defense, spending. I don't think we have any defense stocks yet.
We don't have any defense stocks,
right.
So definitely we won't be shouting hooray. Otherwise, I trust you would have been running after those defense stocks.
Yeah,
first thing tomorrow, on Monday. So we don't have any defense stock. Like I said, it's a no-brainer, laddie, to have security and defense have the largest chunk. And I like what the president said. He said we'll begin to see this funding with results. I think that's where I have a challenge. I don't think it's anything for us to complain, but we want to see results commensurate with the money that we are paying. We can't continue to see things the way it is: kidnapping, banditry, terrorism. There must be a change, and I think what the president has said, he said we should expect a change, especially commensurate with the amount that we are spending. For me, it was a no-brainer. It's security and security.
I don't remember when last security and defense got this chunk.
Yeah, but for the past 3 years, we've been getting that chunk, but maybe not to this amount.
Right.
But again, the result is not commensurate to to what we've been doing. So I think this time we will hopefully see these funds match
channeled
up,
right.
Channeled right, and then you see, channel right. The result is the key. We need to see results.
Fine, and we see education there, 3.52. Infrastructure, that's...
Infrastructure is always there.
It's always there.
It's always there. It's infrastructure that they will borrow for. It's infrastructure that they will... the time they call it the budget of infrastructure, but in this infrastructure, 3.56 trillion, which is good. But again, like I always say, which of the infrastructure are we developing? We need to begin to to bring clarity in your budget planning. Infrastructure, 3.56 trillion. Which sector? Which route? Which we need to know. You need to try. Don't just give us figures like this. I think that's where my greatest challenge is when they talk about, even in cost of borrowing, they say you are borrowing for infrastructure. Which infrastructure? Tie it, so that we can ask questions. That you got so XY amount budgeted for this route. Why is this route not being made? So that are things that we need. Don't just tell us infrastructure. It has become a conduit pipe now. Everybody talk about infrastructure. Buhari talked about building one of the best large infrastructure, and President Tinubu now is building infrastructure everywhere. But again, in terms of infrastructure, what are we really doing? Are we really... Laddie is done globally. PPP. No government build infrastructure the way we are building infrastructure in this country. You just build and operate. That's the normal, so that you can have more money to invest in education and health. Now you are putting so much in infrastructure, you are putting so little in education and health. A healthy nation is a wealthy nation. So, we need to look at it. And when you look at education itself, this is 3.52 trillion, which is good when you look at previous allocation. But again, you want to look at it. Does this include the loan that we give to students and others? So we need clarity on all these figures that we have been bandied
Because if
around.
this is spent right, 3.52 trillion.
That's why I say we need to.
Maybe that will cut demand for overseas education
and others. So we need to get clarity on that. Are we using it to give the student loan scheme? Are we using it to pay for those that are abroad that have been said they've not been paid? So we need to therefore health. I think if this amount of 2.48 trillion is channeled towards manpower, because now it seems to be manpower is the key. We don't have those manpower. The doctors are no more there. They've all jacked out of this country. Are we going to use this to attract them? Or those that are here, would they be well paid, well catered for? Not that you say the money is to build more health facility. You want to build state-of-the-art.
I guess that's one problem I have. When you hear you keep losing manpower in one sector, you talk about you want to attract the ones that have left, but the ones you have, you don't really take care of them.
You don't really take care of them, and you don't take care of them. Then you come and build. Say you are building a state-of-the-art hospital. And after you finish the state-of-the-art hospital, there are no doctors who operate the hospital. There are a lot of examples. Remember the hospital that was built in Akwa Ibom by the Senate president, who was supposed to be one of the world-class hospitals. But when he was governor, but up to this moment, that hospital is not operating to its capacity because there's no manpower. So we should be thinking about manpower. See, Ladi, my challenge has always been with governance in Nigeria is that we always think of infrastructure, but we don't think of the human infrastructure, which is you and I. How will we be able to manage this gigantic infrastructure if we are not empowered and equipped? And that is why you see people will say, infrastructure is one chop, and you see people going to damage this infrastructure to go and sell. Because you have to
build your manpower. That,
not that we're encouraging that. I'm not encouraging, but I think manpower is key. Education is key. Health is key. I'm not against infrastructure, but if you have to do infrastructure, don't think about 3.56 trillion coming from scarce resources, whereby the budget already has a shortfall of about 23 trillion deficit already. So, and when you have other ways that you can address this deficit by PPP, I don't think we have gotten to that.
So let's explore PPP at this point and channel that fund.
Look, globally, that's what is done. All new infrastructure you see globally are done PPP. There's no infrastructure that government want to take or to build everything. Remember the American infrastructural bill is being run by PPP. Nobody is thinking about government because government anywhere in the world does not have the resources to give people the kind of infrastructure they need for development of their economy.
All right, let's pivot to what's playing out. What played out with the markets this week. Definitely we did get that. We like to follow what's playing out with the insider trading. In the market. And the big one we got this week, Mr. Femi Otedola there. Adding more to his stash. This one. How do you see that move?
It's now, when First Bank move, Otedola is moving. So that's the new slogan, because without Otedola, you don't see First Bank moving. One of the best performing shares. You just woke up in the morning that First Bank was struggling at 31 naira, 30 naira. Until the close of market is 42 naira. And you begin to ask yourself, how come? What is driving it? Then you hear that the big boss himself is doing some buying. So I think that shows that he has more confidence in the company. It's more or less like a share buyback, and is buying it at a higher rate compared to what market thinks.
40 naira.
Yeah, market thinks the value of that stock, and he's buying it at that. We have seen it done it in Gweregu, we've seen it done it in Forta Oil when they were there. So it's not something new when we see Femi Otedola doing that. I think it's good for the brand, but don't forget that First Bank need to recapitalize. They have not recapitalized officially. So we are waiting. And don't forget again, they are exiting some of their major holding companies, selling it off.
Right, they just finished, just concluded one.
Yeah, so maybe also that is a key reason why Mr. Femi Otedola is acquiring more of a FBN holding company. Yeah, the market last week was a little bit neither here nor there, but like you talk FBN holding, Boa Cement, Boa Food.
The big boys
came out of the wood. Then that news of SpaceX having partnership with Airtel.
But Airtel didn't move.
No, the first day we saw a full bid of about 10%.
10%.
Yeah, 10%. But the previous day, but again, with Airtel, there's always the challenge of liquidity in terms of what outstanding share you need. They are not as liquid as we want. It's always practically their share outstanding is very small. I think they should think of having more of those shares.
Why not release more? You know,
that's just, I mean, if you have a good deal like this, come on, release more. You're going to make more money. But again, I think, like I said always, we always see this happen in the market. In the month of October, November, then towards the close of the year, you begin to see these numbers going up. And I'm not surprised. We saw First Bank move UBA move from 39 naira to close at 42 naira, but before retailing back to 40 naira. We've seen also the movement of Access Bank from 20 naira to about 21 naira, then close at 20 naira 90 kobo. So, I mean, you see that also Zenith Bank also do that movement from 62 naira to 64 naira, close at 63 naira. So these are what normally we see. Why we are not seeing those big moves in the financial sector? There's still no clarity on which of these banks have finished recapitalization.
2026 is just
no,
around the corner.
Like I've told you over and over, I don't think the bank will have a problem meeting recapitalization. I don't think that will be a problem.
All right. So what are you seeing, going into this holiday shortened week? We're expecting a Santa rally.
Well, I was excited. I think I was saying Santa came to town early.
Right.
But that was cut short. Hopefully Santa will be in town. But don't forget, Santa December is always the year of the breweries. Has always been December for the brewery.
Right.
Nobody's looking at those movements in the brewery sectors. Guinness Nigerian PLC, Nigerian Brewery, Champion Brewery, International Brewery. Those are stocks that are really ticking the market at the moment, because the history of the market has always shown that in the month of December, these companies tend to make more profit. Yeah. You and I know why.
Yeah.
Because it's festivity period.
Because people are out there canceling
crates. It's dirty December, so
they're
definitely.
Crates.
So definitely. So don't take your eyes off the brewery sector.
Fantastic.
I think towards the end of the year, the consumer goods sector have performed incredibly well this year.
Right.
We must say they have done well, incredibly well. The market generally has performed very well. If the market ends the way it is today, I don't think any investor will cry.
Yeah.
Because the market has given you an average return of almost 50%, and some equity has done as high as 500%. So definitely, it has been a very bullish year for Nigerian investors.
What a year.
What a
2025.
year. I keep saying it that if there was any sector that Tinubu has done so well for,
the stock market.
The stock market. But again, there's a killer joy that every investor is saying, give us clarity. Capital gain tax.
Fantastic. We'll definitely get all of that clarity. Thank you so much, Mr. Mukhtar Mohammed. Always great having this conversation with you. I guess I'll see you in Christmas. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
I'll see you then.
I'll see you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for watching Capital Market. Hope you have some insight there, know how to navigate this coming week. Thanks for watching. I'm Ladi Williams from the team right here at Channels HQ. Good night.